So we are talking about the Lavender Gala. It's the 20th annual this year.
I really want to give a shout out to Nancy Grimes because I think she took the gala to a whole new level. You know, I think she's the one that got it going at Nisi's and really reached out to all of the businesses that serve the senior community and helped with their awareness and got them to donate gift baskets and be, be sponsors and be more involved. And she really did a lot of outreach to build up. I think that at a peak, we had 140 people there.
Yeah.
And probably started, 20 years ago with 15 or 20. So, I think she gets a lot of credit. She did a lot, and I think that you've really stepped in and just kept it going and helped it grow in different ways.
Hi, Michael. It's great to see you. I started at the AAA in January of 2010, and it took me a whole year to really understand what the job was, and Emily Lewis was fantastic in helping me and in leaving copious notes. And so we didn't have a Lavender Gala in 2010. And what I did do in February of 2011 is have a Lavender Gala at a venue that was familiar to me, the Rocky Mountain Center for Musical Arts at the time. And it's when I first met Ida Bagel, Jeffrey Kash. And so we had a pretty fun time with that, with bingo and some other things, and dancing, of course. And then that December, we had a second Lavender Gala in 2011, and that was at the East Boulder Rec Center in their big room that overlooks the lake, and that was a nice space. And so then in subsequent years, we discovered Nisi. I had attended a private party there and thought, what a great club. And it was just honestly a whole lot easier to go to a venue where there was a stage, there were lights, microphones, and most importantly, I think for the growth of the event, or maybe sadly, there was alcohol, and there were great big screen TVs because the Broncos was always a conflict with Sunday afternoons in December. And so we really got to have it all. We got to have a space with, it was more of a nightclub feeling in the middle of the afternoon, really. And the event really grew in terms of numbers at that point. I think the greatest memories I have is in the back of the Project Visibility training manual is a history of LGBTQ events. And I could not keep up, honestly, with all the progress that we made legally during that time, and primarily around marriage equality and employment non-discrimination laws. It was rapid fire, and of course that was when we got to the critical mass of states that finally tipped it at the federal level in 2015 to have marriage equality.
Did you have any other particular memories? Anything that stands out of?
Well, for what comes to mind is when Ida Bagel did that 12 Days of Christmas drinking song. That was just about the funniest thing I ever saw in my life. I think you might have to ask her to reprise that online because it's funny. And yeah, she always really made me laugh a lot. And we had some real bomb entertainment. Oh my God, a couple of years I hadn't previewed the groups, and oh my gosh, people were so tolerant. I should have gotten tomatoes thrown at me. But other years we had some real winners. I think when Angie and Bilo did Something About Lulu, they were a duo who are also a couple, and they were a little bit risque and really fun. And we had a lot of good times.
My name is Jeffrey Kash, and my stage name is that of Mrs. Ida Bagel. And I guess for many years there wasn't a whole lot of talent in the region because they kept asking me to come back to do the Lavender Gala, and I was incredibly humbled and really flattered to be entrusted with that. And I've made some incredible friends and connections from that. It was my favorite event to be part of every year. I was an ambassador for our community, and it was one of those one of those instances where someone could say, "Oh, I know someone who performs, and I've gotten to know him, and he's a good person," and that might be their very first interaction with a gay person that they were openly aware of, and so when their nephew or their grandson might come out a year or two later, I'd get a call going, "Hi, thank you for preparing me for this," or thank you for letting me know that this is normal and that this is real, and that this community not only bands together but also helps the rest of society.
Have some memories from that first one? Remember anything fun from then?
I do. I remember going in and I asked the organizers early on, I'm like, "So what exactly do you want?" And they said, "Well, just do a couple numbers and mingle with the crowd." By the time I was done for the very first one, I think I'd done 15 numbers and ended up calling bingo. I mean, I was there all afternoon. I just didn't want it to end, and we were just having so much fun. It was I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but I knew it was going to be something special, because my gigs were typically in church basements and dialysis clinics. I did very unorthodox venues for my shows, and I had not anticipated quite such a interactive group, but also an incredibly smart group. I would do a number and I'd ask people, whose voice was I borrowing, or what was the context of this, or they would ask me that, and vice versa. And we'd have these really great conversations that it just became part of the show.
How did the guests experience the Lavender Gala?
It's interesting because I already knew at least half the audience, or there were a couple years that once I got involved with it, I started letting all my other friends know, "By the way, do you know this thing exists?" And then we ended up doubling the attendance because my folks started coming as well. And it for those that had never been to one, that was the big part, where watching them interact for the first time and say, "Oh my God, look at this. I can't believe our county has this. This is a really incredible thing." And I do brag about our area agency on aging and the fact that it has these programs that are so specific to Boulder, for which we should be very proud, but also a little sad that we really are maybe one of the only ones.
Yeah.
Because it's certainly needed in so many other parts.
Yeah.
But the audience participation, you're not quite sure what you're getting into, especially when I remember the very first year I got there, and it was all the Olak girls who I have just, they become family to me. But they can be a little intimidating when you first go out there because you don't know what to expect. But once they kind of heard my repertoire and my, self-deprecating humor and the fact that I wasn't going to be what most might consider a actual drag queen, I call myself something quite different. In fact, gender illusion technician, again, kind of just poking fun at yourself.
Right.
I think once they realized that they were in a safe space and that they could sit back and relax and be entertained, we were clear. I got the seal of approval.
I have to tell you that my favorite part of your shows are your costume changes. I am so amazed, especially at the gala. I was like, are you serious? That's yet another very unique and I loved that part. And so I just had to share that with you, that, the show was great, but the costume changes were phenomenal. And I was just really impressed with that.
Well, thank you very much. It's a little easier in a theater to do that because you've got a green room right around the corner. Now, I made sure that at the Lavender Gala, no matter the venue, I was wearing 5 or 6 outfits. And, they'd do something and I'd come back down or something, or even in between 2 sets, I'd change outfits. It was very fun. But at Nisi's, I had carpeted staircase to get up and down. So that was a little bit more of a logistical problem.
What are some of your favorite moments, your favorite times?
Oh, I don't even know where to. I'm just getting kind of flooded with memories on all of them, because it really wasn't until you and I started talking here that I forgot the very first one I was involved with was at the Rocky Mountain School for Musical Arts or something like that. So I don't know if I have a particular moment or moments that really stick out. I just remember some really, I just remember lots of smiling faces, and too many of those faces aren't with us anymore.
Yeah. It is part of our community that, working with older adults, obviously aging and the end of life process and death is a part of that. And we have watched many good community members pass throughout the years. And so it's really great, again, when I talk about like the photos that have been archived, that a lot of those folks are in those pictures. And so it'll be great to be able to remember them when we have this retrospective.
One of the things, because I've been doing Zoom meetings for meditation and exercise, and is that the idea that we're really never ever alone, and that if we take the time to share our experiences with one another, we find out that a lot of other people in the world are feeling just the same way we are, and and that, I think, brings us closer together.
Mm-hmm.
And that we are one world. And I kind of think that, when we have the time to go through and look at our history, for instance, what you're doing with the 4 rooms, and we'll see that we really are one world.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I want to build that in. I want to think about that unity and that connection, that history, and keep that as a thread. In fact, you may have just birthed the theme for this Lavender Gala. So I'll make sure I give you credit, because that's really true, and we need to, more so than ever, be able to build that connection and
Right.
see, as you've said, that we are all one.